Hello, welcome to Introduction to Entrepreneurship and Creativity Management 3310. Okay, got that correct. This is an online class this semester. Uh, I kind of enjoy talking with all of you. I like doing it in person, probably as an on campus class, more than doing an online class. But we have made it work in the past as being an online class. But this is a class that is going to require a lot of communications between yourselves and me, but mostly amongst yourselves. So instead of having classroom discussions, we will be having a lot of discussions on Blackboard, on the discussion boards in Blackboard. Okay, but before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Okay, I've been a professor here at Texas A&M Kingsville for the last 15 years or so. I think this is my 16th year. Anyways, before doing that, I was in industry for closer to 30, between 25 and 30 years in a variety of positions. Okay, I was in corporate headquarters for multinational corporations, AT&T in particular. Okay, not the AT&T you know, but the parent company, what used to be called Ma Bell. Okay, the current AT&T is a very, very large company, but it was one of the children of the AT&T Ma Bell. It was a baby Bell. Okay, but that was back in the days when telephone systems and communications was a lot different than today, right? Okay, but when I was part of that, okay, I did a stint on intrapreneurship. Okay, the writing was on the wall. AT&T and long lines and telephones that were hooked into outlets in your home don't exist anymore. Well, they do at our university. In my office phone is plugged into the wall, but I'd be very, very surprised if any of you, or even your parents, maybe your grandparents, still had a landline phone, right? Communications have skyrocketed and are much different. But as AT&T saw this, okay, we were looking at various options, and a decision was made that they wanted to get into the credit card business. And we can talk about that a little bit more detail a little bit later as to why that was a strategically important decision. But I went and I joined AT&T Universal Card, which was a startup, a brand new company that was created inside of the parent company. It is something that is called intrapreneurship instead of entrepreneurship because it's done inside of a company, right? Okay, so I helped launch the AT&T Universal Card. It was the most successful credit card into that date, okay? And I helped put a lot of your parents into debt. You're welcome, okay? And was busy there and helped them become the largest credit card launch at that point to that date. All right. After about 4 or 5 years there, I went on half time, started working Monday, Wednesday, Fridays in the office, and I took years worth of accumulated vacation times on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I got together with my old CEO, Mr. Paul Kahn, a very interesting fellow that we will talk about probably as this class goes on. And I tried to start a jet airline, actually to start two airlines, Pacific Empress Airlines and Southern Empress Airlines. Pacific Empress Airlines was going to be run from Los Angeles and San Francisco to the major East Coast business centers. And Southern Empress Airlines was a smaller operation that was going to be based in Jacksonville, Florida, running to the exact same East Coast business centers. Anyways, me and Paul Kahn, we're going to be in the process of starting that. We got relatively far advanced, and a couple things happened. First of all, Paul Kahn ended up getting an offer to become CEO of a company called Ideon Corporation, a New York Stock Exchange company. And so he split off to do that venture. And we're going to talk a little bit about his success or lack of success in that. Okay. Well, anyways, I continued on. I was working during my time in office space that was donated to me by Paul. And this office space was donated to him by a company called, or an organization called, Touchdown Jacksonville. You will now know Touchdown Jacksonville by a different name. They are now the Jacksonville Jaguars NFL team. I happened to be in the building the day Commissioner Tagliabue gave the franchise, the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise, okay, to Touchdown Jacksonville. And I can tell you there were no more surprised people than the people in that building on that day, because we had been honestly lied to and we weren't supposed to get the team. In fact, the day that we were supposed to get the team, okay, many months earlier, the announcement was made that the Carolinas would get the Panthers. And a decision was made that the second team was not going to be announced until a later date. It was found out that the reason they didn't want to do that was because they wanted to give the second franchise to St. Louis. St. Louis had lost the Rams, and well, hopefully we'll see how the Rams do, right? And in the playoffs in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, and see if they'll make it to the Super Bowl. But St. Louis had lost its NFL franchise, and Tagliabue really wanted to give it to St. Louis, but the problem was there were two competing ownership groups. There was the Anheuser-Busch folks and pretty much everybody else in St. Louis, all the other business people, and they had two competing offers to launch a team. And the NFL did not want to get into a city civil war, and they told the two groups, go back, merge together, and bring us one joint proposal for the city. And St. Louis wasn't able to get that done. And the very last minute, the NFL had to do something, and so they gave the team to Jacksonville. Anyways, that is a long story, and you'll notice that it's a little bit of my personality. For those of you who have had me in my previous classes, okay, you'll know that I tend to go around in circles. I think I have a little HDAD, okay, never been diagnosed, but I kind of go off topic quite a bit, and eventually I bring that back in to the discussion, right? Okay. Well, anyways, I was well underway. We had the business plans looked at and been blessed by a gentleman called Sam Buttrick. He was the chief airline analyst for Kidder Peabody, which was a very large company. He was the most respected airline analyst in Wall Street. And before we were able to get it launched, the value jet crash happened in the Everglades, and everybody on board this new startup carrier's aircraft died. With that, all of my funding disappeared, and all of the passengers that were willing to fly on a brand new airline also disappeared. Okay, so I had to go find a real job. What I did after that was I joined as the first American employee of a company, a consulting company uh, from Bonn, Germany. We did product pricing. The company called Simon Kucher and Partners, and I was their first foreign employee. It's a German company. I was their first professional employee. Okay, let me be a little bit careful in saying that because technically I was the second employee. They hired the administrative assistant before they hired me. Anyways, I helped them launch their US operations and help them do some of the consulting. And to this day, I teach international business. Okay, a lot of what I learned was uh, based on my work at Simon Kucher and Partners. Okay, and finding out how different uh, business structures are around the world. So I teach international business, and I also take people on our study abroad programs. Okay, so if you're interested, I will take group this year again to Germany. We go to Leuphana University, and I'd love to talk with you about that or pretty much anything else. Okay, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm in office 237. I'm going to be there almost the full days on every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I will be there only if there's meetings or something like that. But you can always reach out to me via email. So I'd love to talk to you about any of those experiences and anything that you would like to do. Okay. In addition to that, I went and had various careers. After Simon Kucher and Partners, I went to Milwaukee. I worked at a entrepreneurs that was National Business Furniture. Okay, a very interesting company run by a very interesting person. Okay, George Mosier. We will talk about George Mosier during this class. Okay, we'll talk to a lot of my former bosses or about my former bosses in this class. I ended my career, my non-academic career, as a consultant in the airline industry, and the last position I had was as global pricing director for GE Healthcare. And then from there, from Milwaukee, I moved down to uh, Corpus Christi, and you'll see beautiful Corpus Christi behind me. It's the second week of January, and I'm teaching this class from outside. Okay, something that in Milwaukee would not be able to be done. So I am living life happily. Okay, and this will come back because some of you, if you choose to become an entrepreneur, will do so because of lifestyle issues, because you want to have a career that is based upon having the lifestyle you want, and it's easier to do that when you run the company, right? In my case, it's easier to do that when I teach at Texas A&M Kingsville down here in nice South Texas, when much of the other parts of the United States are grappling with shoveling snow. Okay. Anyways, this was an introduction of myself. What I'm going to have you guys do is introduce yourselves. Okay. There'll be a spot on Blackboard in the discussion boards where you guys can start talking about what makes you different, what makes you special. So I'm going to ask give me 5 really good things that make you who you are. All right. And then I'll ask one question of, okay, what would your friends say is a part of your personality that'd be better that you worked on a little bit, right? Okay. And the point here is that each one of you is going to be very, very different from each other, right? In week 2, what I'd like you to do is look at everybody else in the class, or read about them because this is an online class, and tell me a little bit about who are you the most like of your other classmates, and who are you the most different from. Okay. Okay. You might ask, okay, why are you asking all these personality questions? Because this is one of the only classes you probably will have at Texas A&M Kingsville, where the professor is going to tell you, be careful. If you want to be an entrepreneur, be careful and you think about who you are going to choose as a spouse. Who are you dating? Right? Okay. Wait a minute. Why does that matter? Well, the reason it will matter is that if you do become an entrepreneur, it is the entire family that's going to be an entrepreneur. It's going to be a family entrepreneurship project. And if your personality is one that is going to accept that, but your spouse isn't going to accept that, you're going to run into significant problems. First of all, your marriage may not survive. Your business may not survive. Or what is most likely going to happen is neither one of them will survive because you'll be busy trying to save your relationship, unsuccessfully, by the way. And as you are spending your time and effort doing that, you'll take your eye off of the ball in your business, and your business will suffer and possibly fail as well. Right? Okay. It's one of those decisions that you need to make. Being an entrepreneur is different. And what's different about it is a willingness to take risks, to take calculated risks. Okay? But these are risks that the entire family need to be willing to embrace. Okay? If everybody embraces it, okay, there are different ways and different strategies that different families have to embrace it. Okay? Well, okay, so there's a little bit of a difference there. Okay? Well, what other personality traits are you looking for in terms of an entrepreneur? And the one thing that ties all of our entrepreneurs together that we will study is that there is essentially nothing that ties the entrepreneurs together. Personality-wise, they are all over the map. Okay? We will be viewing folks, and you will be doing joint presentations with entrepreneurs that are micromanaging. They're micromanagers like you would never believe. Others will have entrepreneurs that they are doing their presentations with that are very, very different. Okay? They're not micro managers. They're macro managers. They are doing everything through delegation. Okay? And their point is not to get in the way of the people that they have hired. You have people who are very focused, and you will have folks out there that have AHAD significantly worse than I can, who can't even finish a sentence without being distracted. All these guys have become extremely good and successful entrepreneurs. Okay. Now, one of the things that I think is really, really, really important is for you to get the self-confidence, if you choose you want to be an entrepreneur, that you can be successful. And to be successful, one of the things that helps very tremendously is your ability to have people who have gone before you that are role models that are similar to you. And we will be looking at probably, there's about 22 of you. Hopefully we will have 22 joint presentations with successful entrepreneurs. Okay. And of all of the people, hopefully we will see some people who are like you. Okay. Now, I'm going to view success in this classroom as being one of two different things. The first one is I will view this class as being successful if I talk you into becoming an entrepreneur. I will view this class as being successful if after taking this class, I have talked you out of being an entrepreneur in either direction, right? Okay, so this is going to be an interesting class and so on and so forth. It is going to be, as I mentioned, a class that will have a lot of discussions in it. Okay. Academics will call this type of a classroom a flipped classroom, in that much of your book reading will be exactly that. It'll be reading you do on your own. Okay. We will talk maybe about a couple of the different things you have read about that chapter, but you're pretty much on your own on that. Okay. We will do much more of the discussions talking about the implications of it and so on and so forth, in this classroom. And again, a lot of that is going to be through the weekly discussions that you need to be involved with. Okay. Anyways, so that's the main introduction. As I mentioned, the book work is the book we're going to use is a book called Entrepreneurship, and the book Entrepreneurship is one of the series of OpenStax books from Rice University. It is a free download. I think they ask for like a $2 or $3 donation if you're willing to help the OpenStax Foundation kind of keep up with their expenses. But it's going to be a free download for you to have. It's an entrepreneurship book. It'll cover much of the topics that you sort of need to know, but we will build upon that in the audio classes and the video classes. Right? Okay, with that, I think I pretty much covered everything. Let me just, I talked about discussions on board. It's going to be really important. The first part is going to be talking about your personality. All right. And I hope I explained a little bit about how what in a traditional class might be nobody's business is critical in this class. Okay. Because we're trying to figure out how to make you the most successful. Okay. There isn't one personality. As I mentioned, we're going to have lots and lots and lots of different personalities. But I think that's it for today. I'm just looking through to see if there's anything else. No, we'll stop it from there. Anyways, thank you very much, and I look forward to having you in class. Bye-bye.